There's a storm coming. There's a storm coming, and it has to do with literacy. And you're Maria Murray, and you're from the Reading League. And why don't you tell me who you are and where you are and why you are?
Hi, Harvey. I've known you a long time. I'm trying to figure out this morning when I first met you. That's when. But my name is Maria Murray. I am the CEO and founder of the Reading League. Hello.
Hello.
I met you the first time when you were going around screening Dyslexia, the movie. So you came to Central New York, and I got to be on a panel, and who knew?
Who knew?
We'd be doing this again.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, I think there's something going on in literacy. Let me tell you, I know what your first new memory was. Your first new memory was you were sitting in a cradle in your parents' house.
Yeah, it was a crib. I remember that.
A crib. And you put your foot up on the wall.
Yes.
You were wearing white shoes.
You remember that story. I actually threw my leg up on the edge of the couch, or the back of the couch yesterday, and I was glad there was nothing I could scuff. So, first memory.
So I think there's something bigger in this world. This is quantum mechanics and all this physics and stuff. They're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. But so you grew up in Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
And you were probably pretty good in school. My guess is like you were okay. You learned to read without a problem.
I learned to read very easily. I was a good student. I wasn't valedictorian because I like to have fun. And my report cards say things like she's an outstanding student. So my father I'd ask him what outstanding meant, and he said it's because you're always outstanding in the hall for talking too much.
So why did you become an educator? You could have been anything.
Yeah, I'm not one of those stories that says I wanted to be a teacher since I was little. I love playing school, but I wanted to be a lawyer because I like talking and arguing. And boring, just switched to education for reasons about where I was at college at the time. And fell in love with that. So, but then the passion really lit when I realized there were people who couldn't read. And that was the end of that. You know, I was interested in going into autism work, loved that. Special education was my master's with learning disabilities focus. And that's where I learned the dirty secret. The dirty, dirty secret.
So you're a social science, social studies teacher?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so this is my theory. This is why, one of the millions of reasons why I enjoy talking with you right now. If you're going to learn math, science, history, everything, you have to learn reading first, right?
It sure helps a little, doesn't it? Yeah.
Sure does help a little.
Helps a little. Yeah.
So you were a teacher and you said, my kids, you're a social studies teacher and you're saying my kids aren't reading.
Yeah. And so my embarrassing but truth, which I think if we all stand up and say, I used to think this, but now I know better. I thought the kids were being lazy or the parents didn't respect education, so they weren't being told to do their homework. That's why they couldn't do it. So luckily, I didn't go thinking that for very long. I luckily landed it. I ran right and got my master's started, and that's when I met Dr. Benita Blackman. And then everything became clearer over time. So,
all right,
that's my truth.
So what I'm thinking here is your truth is other people's truth too. There's a lot of people who are watching us now or who know you and who. I mean, I think the people who are at the Reading League. I mean, I love that name. It's like the Justice League, you know. I mean, you guys are awesomely cool. So, you know, but we're talking about that turning point when you go into education, you're going to make a difference, and then you get jaded. Okay, the kids are lazy. You know, but then you realize, wow, the system's not working, and that's when you guys become the superheroes that you guys are. And that's so so well, there's so many things to talk about, but I think the big thing is I'm coming to visit you in 36 days. Is it
Yeah.
36? 36 days. You're going to have, so tell us about the conference you're having and what's going to happen there.
I have fresh scribbles here of what's going to be happening. And on Monday the 2nd, I'm not going to give you the whole rundown, but Monday the 2nd is when we'll have early check-in. We'll have a Reading Buddies season 3, the Reading League's Reading Buddies TV show launch party that evening at 5:30. Everyone gets to see an episode, and it is, I can't tell you how good that season 3 is going to be. And there's going to be a higher ed summit out there. The same time, Stephanie Stahler is running that again. So people in higher education will be in another room while we're setting everything up. There will be a chapter leaders event. So we have 29 chapters, and most of the leaders from those chapters will be in Syracuse and getting together in the beautiful way that only they can. And then Tuesday and the 3rd and Wednesday the 4th, I hope those dates and days match, are the actual conference with the sessions. So Kareem Weaver will be our opening keynote. We'll have a reception that night in the Everson Museum. If anyone came last year, it's literally the conference center's on the 4 corners and the museum's on the opposite corner. Just jump over there. We have the run of the entire museum this time. We'll have heaters outside if it's a little cool, music, amazing food, and just everyone can network. And then the 4th is more sessions, wrap-up keynote by none other than Emily Hanford, who's getting an award from the Reading League this year. And yeah, so we're letting the restaurants and bars in the area know that many hundreds of people are going to be coming to Syracuse to enjoy a fall day.
And our film is coming after Emily Hanford.
That's right. I thought you would want to mention that.
I do, but I also want to mention you're actually on our panel along with some of my other good friends. Emily Hanford's on our panel, and Julie Washington's on our panel, and Liz Brooke is in our panel.
Can you imagine?
It's going to be
so fun.
It's going to be great. It's going to be
fun.
It's
going to be whatever the kids say nowadays, which I don't know.
Whatever the kids say. Yeah.
I don't know what the kids say these days.
Yeah.
That's
what it's going to be. Well, so we're coming up. We're setting up our booth, and we're going to have a photo booth there, and we're expecting to see a whole bunch of people and rub shoulders with the movers and shakers in the education world.
So excited! This is a party we look forward to throwing every year, and we'll have some good things to announce, which I can't divulge yet because it's got to happen there, and get people excited for ongoing and upcoming things.
Well, you sold out early. I don't mean you sold out. I didn't mean like you sold out being an educator. I mean that you sold. You sold out. No, tell us about selling out. In your case of selling out. How many people? Yeah. How many people in what month? And you said I can't fit any more people in the conference.
I didn't even know because that's, we have an amazing team that does that. But I thought we had at least a few more weeks to go, but it sold out, I want to say April.
Yeah.
Which is, and I think that's, Plain Talk down in New Orleans does the same thing. They sell out rather quickly. And so it's incumbent on people to get in as soon as they can. We're going to launch the conference sooner and have a bigger venue next year. So we'll be able to get more people in sooner.
We're really glad we're going to be there. You let us in, and you're actually the second screening of our film ever. There's only 2 kinds of people in this world: people who've seen the film and people who haven't seen the film. Have you seen the film yet?
That's it.
Have you seen the film?
Yes. You sent me a sneak peek. Watch.
Did you like it?
Loved it.
You seem so
adored it.
You seem so. Is this your?
No, I'm afraid this. What if I say something and get away? I don't want to be responsible for that. People have to come to the conference and see it. We'll watch it all together.
It's a spoiler alert, is what you don't want to do. The spoiler alert.
No, I'm getting nervous thinking I might,
No,
but
but who do you think should see our film? What kind of people?
oh, every kind of stakeholder there is, whether it's parents, teachers, administrators, higher ed, every stakeholder. I think all stakeholders should see all of these amazing documentaries and build their knowledge. But again, I'm getting close to a spoiler alert of my own from the conference. So I'm I'm feeling edgy right now.
I don't want to. I don't want
You're,
you to. I don't want you
you're
to
gonna
feel.
make me
I'm gonna make you
you're gonna
what?
make me slip. You're gonna make me slip and make a mistake.
No, can't do that. No, you're a professional in this stuff. You're good. So
No, but seriously, the stakeholders need to hear the people. You always do an amazing job. You did it with dyslexia, the movie, that you went to the best of the best to hear what was going on out there. And I'm really upset more people don't know about that, but that's someone has to go back and watch that movie you did. It was amazing.
well,
You went to Haskins Labs. You didn't mess around. You didn't make one misstep. I remember being shocked by that. Like, who does this? Who knows? There's someone out there that knows these people and these researchers exist, you
well,
know?
the thing is because if I can understand it, like in the case of dyslexia, I was born dyslexic. I'm planning on retiring dyslexic, but it doesn't mean that I that doesn't mean I know what the heck dyslexia is. So if so I go and I hang out with these neuroscientists and these really smart guys. Everybody's a guy. Guys and guys are all guys.
Yeah, but you
So
found them. But you found them. Then nobody else was finding them, is my point. They were kind of secret. They were off doing their amazing thing and nobody noticed them. That was the problem.
well, I think that's the perfect storm that's happening now too. And
Mm-hmm.
Emily Hanford talks about everybody talks about it now that the numbers in what's going on. There's these conferences like, hey, well, we got this. We're doing the best education in the world, and in truth, the United States is doing some of the worst education in the world. Other nations are teaching literacy better than us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's talk about that because there's something that all these stakeholders, all these people need to get involved, and they can make a difference. They can turn their schools around, like our friend Sharon Dunn turned.
Happening.
Yeah, it happens. Sharon Dunn
Yep.
turned the school around.
Yeah. It's not a rare occurrence. It's happening everywhere. There are amazing Sharon Dunns, and I especially love her because she brought me a special kind of taffy from California, which is another story, but will work for Candy. But we need to we need to understand and celebrate that there are many instances in schools where they're getting it right, and then analyze what they did to make that happen. What had to be there? What were the active ingredients? What was the ripe soil, right? So you had a passionate, knowledgeable administrator, who had passionate, knowledgeable, trained teachers.
Keep going. Keep going. What's the secret? What's the secret recipe? No,
Well,
I want you to tell
right.
everybody in the world right now. You can get up. This is not worrying about spoiler alert. This is how to make like a good cake. You're going to give us a recipe. Well, I'm going to take it back a little bit further, and then you're going to roll into this.
Okay. What do we need to
So
do?
so things have been not doing so good for education in the great United States of America, and we
Mm-hmm.
have the ability to do better.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need all of these ingredients. And you were talking about the passionate administrators. You're talking about all of that. So is it actually since I mean you're the founder and the president of the Reading League. You're the founder and president of the Justice League over here. You know about education. So is
Okay.
it changing now in the last couple of years? What's happening right now? What time of day is it?
Well, let's go through a recipe, shall we? And check our ingredients. All right. So we need educators who, in these systems that are successful, do they embrace opportunities to learn about the science of reading, reflect on their practice, and challenge approaches to reading instruction that aren't aligned with the scientific evidence? I think so. That's one ingredient. And then their district and school administrators, school boards and school committees as well, are they prioritizing PD on the science of reading for themselves? And for educators, and provide the necessary support, resources, and practices? Yeah, okay, good. And I'm reading these, by the way, I'm cheating. This is the cookbook, Science of Reading, right? This defining guide. State departments of education, I think we need them to collaborate with experts in the science of reading to design responsible rollouts. I'm shaking a finger on this one. And when I say responsible, I mean the initiatives need to be based on the findings from the science of reading, prioritize leadership preparation, licensing exams, educator standards, all of that better get aligned. And that would help a lot. Without that, it makes it a little difficult. Schools of education, but are they aligning their coursework and fostering interdisciplinary collaboration with professors in other disciplines on campus, such as cognitive psychology, neuroscience, linguistics, etc., communication sciences? So schools of education, we would hope, are producing teachers that are at least familiar and ready to learn more. So I can keep going. There are many others, but I'll do one or two more, actually. Curriculum publishers and PD providers, those are important to make success. And when we do see successful rollouts and data and successful stories, they are knowledgeable enough to choose and correctly use a good program that's as aligned as possible to both the science of reading and to what their students need. There is no perfect curriculum. You'll never find one probably, but there are a lot that are a whole lot better than a bunch of them out there. So more on that. The Reading League's doing some big work on that to be announced soon.
Why is there no difference? Why is there no perfect curriculum? It seems like,
you can't. No.
Why?
Because, I mean, we can slice down to such a granular level of, whether they introduce this thing first or that one first, or,
well, it's nature and nurture. Is it nature and nurture? Is it the fact that, they wanted us all to be homogenized? I think, like, 1940s, 1950s, Second World War. We're all going to be, we're going to be American this way. But then they started finding out, there was learning disabilities, but that changed to learning differences.
Yeah.
So now, how do you teach all of the people? And so we're all starting at different levels. So that's why there's no perfect curriculum. There's no one size fits all.
There you go. We can go with that. Sure.
So
that's yeah.
So you have to have. So if you need an educated consumer, you need an educated educator who comes in and says, okay, these guys are going to need this, and these guys are going to do this. So you do mix and match some of the.
That's why it's so concerning to me and us at the Reading League and elsewhere if schools think that the magic bullet is a different curriculum and just going to get it without preparing the teachers with basic underlying knowledge about how to teach reading and assessment, because your assessments that you use to understand where all those children are and those levels of coming in to sit in your seats might be garbage. And you have to have knowledge about how to assess using the best instrument, how to analyze that data, how to know what it means. One should be able to look at a child's data and know right away what that child needs. Tier 1 has got to be strong. This is just a no-brainer. And then tier 2 has to be aligned. This is a lot of housekeeping. This is a lot of work especially for districts that are starting from square one, but all districts start at square one. So anyway.
You're saying it's rocket science. It's rocket science.
I'm saying it's hard work. And I think it's very hard work. but so worthwhile, because once the work is getting done, I wish some people can crank out metaphors. I'm terrible at it, but like once you get going, it's now starting to gain speed and momentum, and everything is more smooth and efficient, and everything's humming, and teachers are not doing all the lifting on behalf of their children. The students are doing the work and getting farther, and it's just a virtuous cycle, instead of tedious and what are we missing and what aren't we doing, and the teacher's working so hard,
So
to
when it's
not go
good, it's
very
very,
far.
very good. When it's good, it's very, very good. You have happy teachers, you have happy students, you have happy
Yeah.
parents, you have happy administrators. Um, when it's good, it's
Yeah. So
very,
how do we
very.
protect all that? How do we make sure it stays that way? Because it's not the norm yet. That's got to be what every school just does all the time and looks back in their rear view and says, wait, when we used to do what? Why? Oh, how silly we were.
Right.
When are we going to get to the tipping point of, yeah, that's what we've always done?
Oh,
Everyone knows this stuff.
but you can't ask.
I want
You can't ask me that. I have to ask you that. When are we going to get to? Because you're the expert. You got to remember, you're the expert.
well,
I'm the guy who just. I'm the inquiring minds. You know.
I'm the impatient person, but that'll be the day I retire, when I can pretty much say, if I drive around any town, any school, any city, that's what's going on in there. Um, the kids are at least learning how to read. The rest of it, someone else take over and worry about. So
Well, okay then.
I think this is teaching the truth. And the ways we used to teach reading, or that we're kind of slowly moving away from, were based on ideas and philosophies. But now we have a truth. We have a North Star to guide us. So we don't lie to our children and our students and about, hopefully, other parts of history and biology and other things we teach them. We got to teach them the truth about how the brain really reads and what instruction has been shown to help them recognize words and do this and that. Still, and then be truthful to know there's still a lot we don't know. But when we do know more, we'll bring that on too. So, yeah.
You have a conference that sold out. That sold out in April for an
Mm-hmm.
October date. So you have a lot of educators that are coming to your conference.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you sell out that fast? Why are so many people trying to clamor into your conference? What's going to happen to those people when they come to your conference, besides a couple wonderful good parties and see a film and mingle?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We've always likened it to, and this is not our opinion, this is outsiders' common analogy, is to call it like the Woodstock of reading science. It's just, um, it's a place where you're with your people who are interested in the same thing. And I know that's what every conference is, whether it's for computers or AI. I don't know what other conferences are. I have a little narrow world view with my work, but there's everyone there who knows the promise and the potential to this work, and it's very invigorating. When you're out there doing the work, it can feel a little lonely, because it is hard work, and you hear little stories where something might be crashing and burning over here, or someone misunderstanding something over there. I could give examples, but I would never want to embarrass anybody. And so it gets discouraging. So you finally come to this place where you get all energized again. And this has been happening to the Reading League since year one. We're going to be 8 years old in October. And by the end of actually 2 years of our genesis, at the beginning of all this, we had over 4,200 educators in central New York area coming to our events every other month. They didn't all, I'm not saying we had 4,200 in a room, but they would be clamoring for a seat. And by the end of 2 years, we had 4,200 names who had come to these things. And it was the same thing. We would launch them, they were free, announce that we're going to talk about this topic at this school on this day. And within 5 minutes, the 300 seats in the gymnasium metal chairs were gone and a waiting list, a few hundred more. So the conference is just an example of, and the live events we've had in the past are examples of how hungry people are to be together. Numerous times, and I'm sure whoever listens to this is going to say the same thing. You see people crying the first time they get to enjoy a conference or a live event like this. They're like, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Andrea Setmeyer, she's the person who coordinates our state chapter. She's amazing. She used to be our Indiana state chapter president. But she's going to be facilitating a first timers session for people who've never been to a conference before, and kind of give them a little lowdown on what to expect and what to try out while they're there. So otherwise they might be too overwhelmed from the joy. Yeah.
So you have what's your number that's going to be there?
I think 1,600, and that's because of capacity. We could have fit 3,000. We didn't want to, but we would have been able to sell 3,000 tickets if we had space. Syracuse doesn't have that capacity for us.
So, but those people go home to, and they're not just from New York State. I mean, I know people who are traveling from California.
Oh, Australia and Europe, and yeah, our very first conference 7 years ago, we had people from Australia and Alaska, 27 states.
So they're going back to their homes, in some places far away, but there's this thing called the internet. All the kids are using it, right? So you can communicate that way. So you go back home and you're able to look up all this information. I mean, one of the things with our advocacy toolkit, which you're going to be living on now, and it's going to be hopefully just a resource for people to just look through. It's basically like inviting them over to our house and having them
a megaphone.
Yeah, it's a megaphone and on a soapbox in a file cabinet, and and
on a mountaintop,
and a mountaintop, and a messy office, and just all the in a library, and all that
chocolate.
Yep, and chocolate, and we got to make sure we get chocolate in there somehow. So we just want people to be able to think great thoughts, meet people like you,
Yes.
and continue their own journey, because going back to learning differences is how we all learn and process differently. There's many paths up the mountain. So however your educators are coming from small towns or big cities, when they come there, they're coming to the educational mecca, where they come in, they meet others like them, they get the thoughts, they get the science, they know where to go, where to access this magic again.
I know.
They know how to do the magic, and we're honored to be part of it, to be able to just kind of continue this trend. But I think something's going on when I'm saying that there's a storm a coming. There's a storm a coming where, and this is what I want you to talk about. So you said this is your eighth year, or your ninth year? Eighth?
It will be 8 years old.
Okay. So
Maybe third.
what happened between year 1 and year 8? Tell me about the landscape of United States and the Reading League. Tell me what's happened in the last 8 years.
Oh my gosh.
Educationally.
Yeah. Educationally, well, I'm going to use my cookbook again, just to give me some points of reference here. How many thousands and thousands of, I wish I had a number. There should be like a running ticker somewhere about how many thousands of teachers are getting high quality professional development and learning about this. How many schools of education, another ticker would be nice, are starting to include this in their teacher preparation? That would be amazing. But it's happening in the last 8 years. Honestly, it's silly to say it, but if you had told me 8 years ago that I'm uttering a sentence like this, or that, these sentences, I would have been
Well, wait a minute. The thing is, you're a thought leader, and you're a very modest person. You know, I mean, you kind of got if in an alternate universe, because I'm going to go back to my quantum mechanics, you could have been a very good alpaca farmer and
Yes.
happy, and you were that close to becoming an alpaca farmer and kicking it in because of your frustration. There's your alpaca. There's the only alpaca you get is, but
That's it.
you
Yeah.
but you almost you were almost so broken as an educator. I mean, you tell me, right? You were almost so
Yeah.
broken that you're gonna. But then
Cashing my chips.
then the miracle happened because you're a good person and you work with a good group of people. Let's talk about it.
Well, I don't, yeah, everyone knows my story, or they should, on various podcasts, how I was out. I was done. Again, nightmare visions of children crying at night because they can't read. And I knew this to be true because of the short video film I helped to produce called When Stars Read, and it's on YouTube still. 12-minute film that was shown to Congress. And in this film, we followed children who were second and third grade non-readers. They had taken part in a federally funded intervention project we did here in Syracuse. They're the kids that are featured in Sally Shaywitz's Overcoming Dyslexia, the first edition. Those were the kids she's talking about, our children. And we got them on video telling their story. And these kids who don't learn to read for whatever reason, these children don't get a free pass once they're off the bus at the end of the day. Harvey, can you vouch, right? When you went home from school, was it like, oh, don't have to think about that again until tomorrow morning? School is a minute by minute effort to not get found out, to not get bullied, to not get thought of as dumb, to succeed. And you tell yourself that lie that something's wrong with you because certainly everyone else is doing fine. And it doesn't end because you come home to your family, many of whom might be reading fine, and every little board game, sleepover, computer game direction, everything is a taunting mess in your face. So that is unnecessary. And I knew the research being done had found things, but no one knew about it. That was an ugly truth. I knew when we finished the research and went on our merry way, the schools, it's like when the water rushes back in and eats up your sandcastle, it was gone. Not one administrator in higher offices saying, geez, that was great what they did. Should we do that everywhere? Nothing. The forget what the Basel programs and popular methods and publishers, that's probably one of the ugliest truths. So this was insurmountable. This was so systemically rancid that I couldn't be in it anymore and know that there was something better, and yet kids were suffering. How do you reconcile that? The dissonance in my head was just blah. So off I go, raise alpacas.
And you almost made it.
Here I am.
You almost made it to the alpaca farm.
Gosh darn.
Then what happened?
Close,
then
yeah.
what happened?
And then a happy day came where when I came back from looking at alpaca farms in Louisville, Kentucky, you know how middle-aged people want to go buy that sports car or they do something crazy. I think this was my midlife crisis. I got to do something. Okay. Well, obviously, when you realize you do some numbers on sales of fleece and feed and barns and vet bills, it doesn't look pleasant either. So, all right. Then I was sitting here October 13th, 2015, and the idea hit me that I'm not the only one that knows this stuff. I'm not the only one out there doing the work and getting frustrated and getting shut down and getting shunned. I was always getting shunned in my work at the university, not by my students. They love me. I had no voice, no power, no influence, no hope of changing anything. All my students were getting hired in balanced literacy. systems that institutions like mine were creating. But anyway, the good news is the idea hit to, hey, reach out to these 100 people get it. And they might not get what you get, but they get a piece of it. And together, we can do this Justice League thing. That's the looking up synonyms for coalition, consortium, like all these things. League was the best word because we aimed to be disruptive and stop the madness of the naked emperor marching up and down the road. So throw some clothes on that emperor. We got work to do. Was the thing. Did I say something dirty? No. Okay, good.
No.
That was it.
No, that was perfect.
That was it. Just an idea. And I love parties. I love bringing people together. I love bringing people together and then just sitting in a corner and listening to people. I have beautiful pictures of some of our earliest board meetings, whatever that was. We barely knew what a board should even be at that time. I'm trying to find a little picture. If it's meant to be that you see it, it'll come right up. But yeah, I just remember our very first few days, months. Here's a picture of some of us at my kitchen table. Oops, it's crooked. But after work, we're just going to get together and talk about who can give the next live event. And plan it and find a place. I'll print the things. And I just learned so much listening to that brilliant crew, and like them just share what they knew. And I'm like, wow, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. So I think that's the beauty of the Reading League. You're going to come to an event. You're going to go on our website. You're going to go to your own chapter and your own state's events and rub up against knowledgeable people. And then before you know it, you're a lot smarter than you were a minute ago. So, yeah.
But so you have a solution. That's another cookbook, another recipe of just by hanging out with you that, and that's when I said you think great thoughts and you're with these people and you think great thoughts. So your recipe was to find 100 people who have your passion with you, and that's the ripple that I always say about you super educators is, it's a ripple in the pond, and you don't know where it's going to go out, how far it just keeps going, because the educators that you're educating are educating other educators, and they're changing schools, and they're part of those administrators, those passionate administrators, and those educators that get it.
Yeah.
So the anti-venom. You guys have created the anti-venom.
Ooh,
which is
like that.
Don't you like that? You have the anti-venom where you're able to, you turn the light on in the room. I mean, these are the metaphors you were looking for before. Now I have a bunch of them over here. So I really think there are a lot of good educators out there right now that are trying to think their way out of a problem, and they haven't had the voice, they haven't been listened to. But by knowing your story and hearing your story and seeing your Justice League, the Reading League, in full, I say it's yours, but you're the founder of it because you had that one thought that happened, and now you have all these other branches that are happening across the nation. So even if people miss your conference, they just have to get into these other meetings that are constantly going on, and people are just sharing their knowledge. Oh, I have a question for you. I'm wondering, you wrote some papers, a couple papers. Are any papers you're proud of that we could put on our advocacy toolkit that you want us to spread the word?
Sure, I'll send you a couple. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah, I liked to write papers that were practitioner oriented. I'll send a few that I was part of. You know what I found right here? I always keep it with me. This is a Facebook post I did on October 13th, 2015. I said, okay, reading peeps, huge proposal here, and it involves you. I'm newly energized, and I propose the formation of a Central New York Society for the Advancement of Evidence-Based Reading Practices. Good luck with that acronym. And I said, the evidence of what works for those who have difficulty has been around for decades. For a multitude of reasons, it's misconstrued or ignored or unknown. Most of the accurate information about dyslexia is rarely read by educators because it's unavailable to them. It's not taught to them because so many professors and schools of education are unaware. So many stakeholders can come together to build awareness and disseminate knowledge. Power in numbers. Parents of children with dyslexia, teachers, administrators, school psychs, researchers, professors, speech language specialists, pediatricians, members of similar organizations, more. I know a lot of you. Would you join me? Please say so below. Truth be told, we owe this to the children who grow weary of frustration and discouragement. We really do. And if I have even the remotest inkling that you'd be of value to this effort, I'm going to find you and force you to join anyways. So please post that you'll join. So that was the plan.
Wow, you're gonna make me cry. That really was. I mean, that was like you just put it all out there.
That was it.
That was the plan. You put it out there.
Put it out there, and people more passionate and more knowledgeable than me joined. So that was pretty cool. And the rest is history. And may we be done with this in 10 more years. We could do it in a generation or less. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it takes a league. That's our new saying. Whether you're members of other organizations, anything else, but I don't like people to say you guys. I want it to be we and us and ours. This is very much a league that's required because power in numbers, the megaphone, the soapbox. Yeah.
It's kind of strange too. I mean, if you know my history in school and education, I always get amazed that I go to schools and people let me talk to their kids and their parents and teachers and stuff. It's just amazing. And I always hear the same thing. I always hear the people who are really teaching in the LD schools. They're saying, "Hey, or any of the other people who are suppliers of the knowledge, so to speak." They all say they want to put themselves out of business. They don't, they wish they didn't have to do these things. It should be happening without it. So we're going short on time. Just tell me, how did we get so messed up? How did we get the teaching colleges not on? I know this is like nothing like leaving on a high note, but the teaching colleges, the textbooks, how did it go off the rails so much? Why weren't we sticking more with the science of reading, or we?
Well, it's not a one pat answer thing. It's complex. You have the fact that the science of reading wasn't even 30 years ago, say it was there, but still so new. And in any field, it takes science a while to get going, right? But even when it became pretty established, multidisciplinary findings converging and reaching a consensus about major things that can inform us, inform our practices, inform our materials, even when that happened, it was denounced by people in higher ed, maybe because it didn't come predominantly from those researchers, maybe because it came from disciplines outside schools of education, right? But I did have many uncomfortable conversations with colleagues who would not even let me express my point. I'm like, we cannot be teaching learning styles and brain gym and all these. I mean, I know you're teaching these things. Can I talk to you about these? Can you show me the evidence? And I was told by one colleague, Maria, I believe that one day we'll come to an agreement on what good literacy instruction looks like. And that was it. And so I think Keith Stanovich has a good paper. Maybe I could send you that as well. It's a you got to read it slow, maybe a paragraph a day, and there should be a glossary but it's complex. But he talks about versions of belief. And this happens, as we know, in politics, and this happens, as we know, in religion. And it's hard to ask people to change what they've been promoting. So that's why I say we have to gather and build and these successes so that they become the norm. And then eventually, like a forest fire, the other ones will get doused. Sorry, but it has to be like, how did we ever think that way? Like putting leeches on your body to cure that flushed face because you have too much blood. Like, we don't do that anymore. We know better. We wash hands before we do surgery. We know better. So yeah, we were in quite a mess, weren't we? And I don't know if it was pride. I'll call it hubris, because hubris is a level of pride where you fall pretty hard in the end. I don't know.
That
But
is
we're doing
great.
something about it.
We're doing something about it. You're doing something about it. We're doing something about it. Your league is doing something about it. Our league is doing something about it. Um,
That's ours.
Ours, the good guys. Well, it's so easy to be a good guy. Just join
It
up with the
is.
reading league.
Feels good. Yeah. Yeah.
It feels good.
It's good.
Okay, so what? First of all, I'm looking forward to hanging out with you again, and your incredibly wonderful smart peeps that are going to be there. And what's a closing thought that you just want people to be thinking of?
My thoughts a lot these days, and you can make it your thought, folks. You cannot. But how are we going to get to, as we say, 95% of children if we don't have, if we don't promote equity in the science of reading? So I want to just put that out there too. There are a lot of children who have come from disadvantaged backgrounds and don't have access. Their parents don't have access. Their teachers don't have access. We can celebrate all we want, but we also have to examine where these successes are happening and what might have contributed to that in terms of advantaged backgrounds and so forth. So we have to be keeping in mind all children and what all really means if we're going to do this right. So we're doing a great job. We've come far in the last 8 years, but with the things we have to pay attention to are how many stakeholders still have to become aware, like administrators and policymakers and publishers and schools of ed and state departments of ed and so forth. We can't ignore our parents, and we cannot ignore the children who shouldn't be last to learn. So what's going on out there is what we're going to have to pay attention to now, I think.
That's good. And the ones that have turned around are going to be our leaders. We said when we went to Waterbury, Connecticut, how I got to Waterbury, probably a lot of people already know this too. And but I said to Margie Gillis, I said, Margie, how do I see how kids learn to read? What's that magical time? Pre-K or you're in kindergarten and all of a sudden by first grade, second grade, you're beginning to get on board. You're beginning to read. You learn to read, and then you read to learn, right? We know that. So I said, Margie, how does this happen? She goes, well, if you want to see it, Waterbury's doing it right. So we went to Waterbury, Connecticut, and this is the same. And I've told Sharon Dunn from as she's turned the school around. If one town can do it, another town can do it. If 2 towns can do it, 4 towns can do it. If
Yes.
four towns or districts can do it, 8 can do it. 16. So I mean, we're on the rails now.
We're on the rails, and New York City's going to try to do it, and that'll be something to watch too. So I've got my eyes on that. That's a big, huge lift there for sure. That's many, many, many hundreds of schools. So they can do it. Poverty get in the way, but we'll see. There's a lot we are going to owe we have to keep paying it forward.
We have to keep paying it forward. We have to keep paying it forward. That's 100% right.
Yeah.
All right.
So
So you're
terrific. And I just want to mention one more thing. I don't want to forget that TRL had an amazing summit in the early part of this year in Las Vegas. It was our first time. We threw it together and we had an amazing series of speakers, 4 panels: neuroscience, foundational literacy, and we had leading experts, including your friend Ken Pugh and
love him.
Marianne Wolf.
Love her.
So we had experts come together from the science of reading and that kind of background group, and also people who are expert in English learners and emergent bilinguals. And that was the first time we gathered together, and just like I said, get together and sit back and listen. And boy, did we learn. We have a joint statement coming out very soon on that. And next year, we're going to do it again in San Diego in April. So look for that opportunity. Many of the same speakers and some additional ones. And again, convening, because those children, you know, they need to learn to read as well as be bathed in oral language and home language and all the other important things. It's not a, or, it's an and. So keep looking for that. Great work happening there.
I will. We're gonna.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I mean, you said it. I mean, we're all in this together, and I think that's a good way of doing this. We have to. We can make a difference, and it's not you guys or those guys. It's us guys.
Us.
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 All right. Well, you're my hero, and I'm going to see you in a little bit. I'm in a couple of weeks or a couple of days, depending on how we look at it.
It'll be a good hug.
It'll be a good hug, love. All right. Peace.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye
Much
to your
love.
team.
Bye bye. Peace.
Bye.